Donald Trump knows on some level that he failed to deliver in Georgia. He gets that. And on the pre-show today, I was reading, we had some accusations that it was his fault coming from anonymous Republican sources and all of that. Well, he has a strategy to respond to that. Is he responsible for those dueling losses? No, because you know why? The Dems didn't actually win. And you know why? Whatever you want, whatever you want. Something happened and it caused the Republicans to lose. So last night he was tweeting, oh no, this is this morning. They just happened to find 50,000 ballots late last night. The USA is embarrassed by fools. I agree with that. It is embarrassed by fools. Our election process is worse than that of third world countries. Last night he was saying, looks like they are setting up a big voter dump against the Republican candidates. Yes, that's right. I'm still saying dump. Waiting to see how many votes they need. These scoundrels are only toying with Senator Perdue, a great guy vote. It just didn't want to announce quite yet. They've got as many ballots as are necessary. Rigged election. So wait, are they rigging both of them or just him? Why are they rigging it and making it so close that you're still gonna have a recount? Here's a follow-up. Why not rig it on November 3rd so that we didn't have these runoffs to begin with? None of this makes any sense. Except that this is a very, very fragile man who is trying to process in real time his continued failures.
Yeah, well, she's never had to face before, because every other time he's had any kind of either public or personal and private failures, he's been able to blame someone else, get mad at them, yell and rant long enough, throw his hair around, and then people just kind of back away and say, okay, we're sorry, Donnie. We'll go ahead and let you have your way. And so far, honestly, throughout his presidency, it's worked for him then too. And as these things start to not work out for him, he doesn't know this reality. He's like, wait, Mitch McConnell called Biden president-elect? I thought he was as big a piece of garbage as I am. And you were right, Donald, he is. But he's still worried about himself first, just like you are. And now both of your intentions and political goals are in conflict with each other. That's the problem.
And look, so he's saying that it's rigged, very vague, very repetitive. These are reruns from a month ago. Look, here's the thing. It is going to be interesting to see how much direct blame is put on him and how willing Republicans become to criticize him openly. So far, we're not there. It's still anonymous, but like one has to wonder, amongst all of the other things influencing this election, what if Trump hadn't made the past 2 months about him whining about the fact that he lost? What if he had accepted his loss, conceded, and then seriously spent 2 months saying, we have to maintain control of the Senate or else the Dems will run wild? He sort of tried to make that statement a little bit, but amongst all of this electoral fraud stuff and the idea that he's still gonna be president. So he's like telling people, you need to win this so that the Dems won't have everything, but don't worry, like I'm secretly gonna be president anyway, so it's not really that big of a deal. He like in real time made those two messages last night at the rally. And that combined with like the Linwood, let's boycott the vote, it's all rigged, there's no point, we can't possibly win anyway. Is that worth a point? Yeah, I think it might be worth a point. I think that absent that, they could have won this thing.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many things. You've mentioned it before, even before his own presidential election. If he handled COVID 15% better, which by the way is still an utter failure, a historic failure. If he did that much more, there'd be so many Americans that would be on his side just because of the sake of allowing him to get another shot at it. Or it's like, oh, he showed us one instance of being humble when he couldn't do it for the entire 4 years. Let's give him a shot, because that's how some of us are in this country. We'll still give someone a shot that has a position of power, that has shown he has no right to have it or doesn't know what to do with it, but we'll continue to give him that. So if he makes small shifts into the way he acted, it does wonders for him. The fact that he won in the first place proves that.
Yeah, I can't wait to see. At some point there will be a feeding frenzy, because that's all there is who do I consume to gain their power, their strength, their money, their audience. But we'll see if it happens with Trump. I would also say that there's so many things I want to remind us of and make sure that we know that we've been talking about over the past 2 months, but we talked multiple times about all the fundraising that was going on. Not just Trump saying you need to give me money so that I can contest this thing, but tons of Republican senators like Ted Cruz saying, you need to give me money. Or they'll advertise in Georgia saying we gotta protect these candidates. but then he just gets the money. Like they drained money out of a state where the state candidates desperately needed that money to compete. Like Loeffler and Perdue are terrible, not just as politicians, but candidates. So a lot of this is on them. If they were better candidates, maybe they could have just won. But virtually every one of the people who should have been their allies instead was only in it for themselves. And is that worth a point? Maybe that's worth a point too. There's a lot of stuff that could conceivably could have swung this thing.
Could be worth a lot of points. Could be worth 5, in my opinion. Again, if they played this the way they could have, who knows how much the swing gave him? He won by about a point, sure. But who knows how much difference it could have been if they played this a certain way, which again would have been extremely frustrating because anything they would have been doing would have been based in lies and misdirections and recharacterizing someone as who they really are not, which they did do, but they didn't have enough of a momentum behind those false accounts, their opponents, and it just didn't work out.
And one other thing, like the whole checks thing, like Trump made the last 2 weeks of a double Senate runoff, him saying, I want to get these checks. Let's do a bigger checks. Let's deliver. And Loeffler and Perdue were at least pragmatic enough to be like, yeah, we want that too all of a sudden. But did it happen? No, and why? Because of Republican senators and Mitch McConnell. Like you had an opportunity. Mitch McConnell also screwed them over. Like if Mitch McConnell had supported the $2,000 checks and Kelly Loeffler and Perdue had been able to go back and say, sure, Warnock and Ossoff are saying they want it, but we delivered it. Could that have been worth a point? I think $2,000 checks in the immediate right days before the election, that could have been worth a point. But Mitch McConnell screwed him over. Mitch McConnell wanted to deny you $2,000 checks more than he wanted to continue to be one of the most powerful people in the world. That's how much he wants you in poverty.
Yeah, and so my last thought on this, at least as far as their failures, is if you think about it, and I always say this too, it's so much easier just to be right. It's so much more work to try to plan, manipulate, strategize around screwing over the people that voted you into office, Republicans. Now you have to find a way to look like you're honorable while screwing people over when you could just do it, help folks out, actually represent your constituents, and then they'll vote you back into office, which is ultimately all politicians want, is to continue to stay in office. So if you do something for the American people, you just might get back into office. But instead, they need to act like they're doing something for the American people, screw them over, and then still get back into office. Just cut out all the middlemen and do your job and then get reelected. It's very simple, but that's actually not what they're there for.
And by the way, that lesson from JR would have been very good for the Republicans from their point of view to have followed that. You know who else should listen to that? The Democrats now, because now you're gonna be in charge. And Joe Biden, you don't wanna be decimated in the midterm elections. You'd certainly like a Democrat to win in 4 years. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer soon. How'd you like to be Senate Majority Leader for more than 2 years? Well, then I have an idea, or I have JR's idea that he just told us. Do something, actually accomplish things between now and those elections, and you can get reelected. I know it's complicated. It's 70-dimensional chess, but people will vote for you if you deliver for them. And if you actually do the things you say you're gonna do, if you actually identify the problems and solve them, you can get reelected. It's super complicated. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.